Hey there YouTube, welcome back to the channel. So I thought I'd do a little bit of a random video today because I ended up doing a little bit of an impromptu rummage. I was looking through a couple of different things around the house and I ended up coming across a pile of things that some of them that I thought I'd lost and some of them that had been sitting around there for a while that I thought I still had and I just had no idea where they were. So it ended up being an impromptu rummage because I ended up finding some stuff that is, hey, this would be kind of cool to have back in the collection, and I thought I lost it, so I'm glad I didn't. I jotted down a couple of things because I also wanted to talk about a couple of other stuff. I do have a video that I'm planning on doing talking about some other topics that are kind of on my mind, but I don't have it all kind of filtered out in my head yet how I want to approach communicating it out, because it's one thing to do a ramble, it's another thing to do a ramble that doesn't lead to anywhere. So I'm going to work on that a little bit, give it some more thought, and I'll come back. I do want to talk about it this week though, because a couple of things have definitely brought it back to the front of my mind. Before I get into the rummage part though, it's a handful of items that I'll show you, and some of it's kind of random stuff. I do want to do a couple of shoutouts in a couple of videos that I got a chance to watch recently that I thought were kind of cool for a couple of different reasons. A couple of player collection videos, and one of them is for the Essential Credentials podcast. And for the videos that I'm going to talk about, there's going to be two of them. I'm going to put a link in the description so that you can check it out if you want to, because both of these videos kind of talk about player collections, and they also talk about player collections in the hockey genre, which is kind of my wheelhouse, especially these days because the channel's focused a lot more on that lately. Quick point I'll make though, part of the reason for that, it isn't that I've abandoned my vintage roots or vintage baseball or baseball in general or any other sports. It's just that right now a lot of the stuff I'm buying on eBay and that is all domestic. And the inventory is pretty much hockey here predominantly. It's not to say there isn't other stuff, but it's just a lot easier to get access to the hockey stuff, so I've been putting a lot of the focus on the Modano collection. So the first of the videos that I'm going to talk about, like I said, is the Essential Credentials video, and the link is in the description, and it's part of a new series he's working on called Returning to My Roots, because originally he started off collecting a little bit of hockey at the beginning, which is awesome, and the focus has been on Jocelyn Thibault, who I have a little bit of familiarity with because I remember watching him play a little bit for the Montreal Canadiens predominantly. That was where my recollection is, although he did play for the Chicago Blackhawks, and I think he started off with the Quebec Nordique, that kind of going from memory. And right now it's got two videos on that new series. I'm going to send you a link to episode 1, and he starts off with a great one. Starting off with a mirror, and then episode 2 has another great one. So it's always kind of fun watching a collector start up a new player PC, because the beginning is always the kind of the fun part, where you can kind of go in any direction, and you kind of are feeling out where you want to go in terms of your strategy for putting together the collection, because depending on how big the checklist is for your player. And that's something I'm going to talk more because I had a little bit of a series that I did a while ago on player collecting, and it's probably about time that I do a third episode where I talk a little bit more about the strategy and kind of the things that I've learned. And just so you understand, the reason I like to talk about player collecting so much, and I think I talked about it a little bit in my 1,000 subscriber video a while back now, is that I've been collecting. I talk a lot about that Modano collection that I work on, and part of the reason for that is that I've actually been collecting Mike Modano pretty much consistently. Like, there's been ebbs and flows. There's times where I collect more strongly in terms of buying more things, and I spent a couple of years just focusing in on certified autographs, so just focusing on that, so it was more quality and focusing on a certain type of card over quantity, so I wasn't focusing on card count. But I've pretty much been collecting, with the exception of university, where money was a little bit tight because it needed to be focused on beer, very important. But I was still picking up a card here or there. It was like 1 or 2 cards every couple of months, so I never actually stopped. So I've been consistently collecting Mike Modano for 25 years, which is absurd, actually, when I say it out loud like that. But the reality is that means at this point, when it comes to that player collection, I'm in for the marathon. It's not a sprint. It's not a one-time thing. So I've had 25 years to curate the collection and kind of get it the way that I like it. And right now I'm focusing more on card count a little bit, although I am picking up some quality pieces and some ones that I definitely wanted for years. And that's where a lot of these recent mail days have been leading to. And there's some really fun stuff. Just kind of give you a little bit of a spoiler. There's some stuff that I'm waiting on. And right now with the mail service the way it is, it could take a while, or it could come this week, I don't know. But there's some stuff that I've been waiting on that I think is going to be really awesome when it comes in, and that gives you a little bit of background on why I've been focusing on that part of the collection so much, because it's been a long time that I've been building it, and there's still quite a ways to go. There's still quite a bit of checklist, and there's a lot of areas in the collection in different time periods of his career and post-career that I haven't fully explored, but I'll talk more about that during my pickup video later on. But like I said, check out the Essential Credentials video. There's, like I said, 2 episodes in the series so far. And it's kind of fun watching somebody kind of start a collection from the ground up. So that's the first recommendation I have for you. The second recommendation, and I had to write it down to make sure I read it right, because it seems simple enough, but with no spaces, it's kind of tough to make sure you don't screw it up. So it's Beansballcardblog. I think I got it. No spaces. I think I nailed it on the first try. On there, he's got a lot of different videos going on, a lot of different showcases. And one of the most recent ones on a Sunday showcase, he did his Andrew Shaw collection, which he kind of referred to in a video. And I inquired, I was curious of how many cards he had in the collection. It sounded like he had been working on it for a while. And he did it as kind of a response to a GeezMikey contest. And it was really sweet. I like seeing a lot of the tabletop showcases that people were doing in general. But like I said, player collecting is a little bit of my wheelhouse. And hockey player collecting certainly, and it was kind of fun to see because he had quite a spread of some very limited rare cards, and it's very clear. I like seeing where, in contrast to the first recommendation I made where somebody's just building it and getting it off the ground, which is exciting and it's fun to watch, this is something where the player collector has clearly taken time and built a collection over time, and it's very clear and obvious that there was a method to the madness, and it's a fairly complete collection, I would say, of Andrew Shaw cards based on, I think, the checklist. I have no idea how many cards were on that table, but you got a sense that this is a collector who put it together over time. And my suggestion to him was basically like, you know, Andrew Shaw is back playing with Chicago, and part of the reason he liked collecting it is that he was doing it with Chicago. Keep collecting them. There's no reason why you can't now, especially now that they tend to produce a lot more cards now for a lot of the modern players than they do back in the day. That's why I referenced the whole thing with Modano. His entire checklist is like 5,600 cards, just to give you context. I have about 1,300 cards. So you think with that much time, it's like, oh, why don't you have it? Because I focused on a lot of very specific subsets when it became clear to me that I would never get them all. All the one-of-ones made that impossible. But I kind of changed my attitude with that over time, and I'll talk about more of that in another video later. The reason I changed my attitude about it, though, is I was like, you know what? Maybe it's just fun to get as many as I can. See how far along I can get, and pick up some of the pieces. But since he's retired, and it's been 10 years since he's retired, they've produced over 1,500 cards. Just in the time period since he's been retired, since he went to the Hall of Fame, retired his number, he hasn't played made a single shot, played a single shift on the ice, and 1,500 more cards, which means during his playing days he had about 4,000, which is still a lot. But if you take that 4,000, I've got maybe about a third of those, and then from his new stuff in the last 10 years, I've only got about 60, 70 cards. So there's a big discrepancy between the two. So it tells you there's a lot of room for me to pick up a lot of stuff. Now, in this Andrew Shaw collection, you can definitely see that it's focused on the Chicago years, which is actually pretty cool. And now that he's playing back in Chicago, well, I can say there's a good chance there's going to be a lot of new cards available for him. So I think that's kind of exciting. The hunt part is the enjoyable part. And even if you have a smaller checklist to go off of, well, that is going to make it more challenging, but I still think it can be very enjoyable. So I would say check that out. I'm going to include a link to that video in the description as well, because you can definitely see somebody who's clearly taken the time to build and curate a collection that has taken a lot of thought. And I always appreciate that aspect of it as well. So it's two ends of the spectrum, two different types of player collectors at different stages. One is a little bit later stage in terms of having a lot of the cards already available, and the other one is just getting started where the world is your oyster. Both are fun for me and for entirely different reasons. And that's why I'm happy to recommend both to you, because to be honest, I think both are worth watching. All right, with that said, enough blathering. So when I went through it, I found some stuff that, like I said, had been missing for a while. And I wasn't sure that I still had it. So I'll show you kind of what I unearthed. The first thing I unearthed was actually a couple of Beckett Hockey magazines. One of them I thought for sure I had, and the other one I totally forgot. So this is one here. This is the March 1998 issue. So it's Modano Speaks Out. So that's kind of a cool one. Now, I've forgotten that actually he had two, and what I like about this is obviously I'm going to kind of sift through this, and I can win a signed Modano jersey as the giveaway in this magazine. And they got first pricing on 97, 98 Leaf, Pinnacle, and Upper Deck Diamond Vision. So that's a blast from the past right there. So this is the March 98th issue number 89. It's kind of a thin issue, to be honest, but it is kind of cool, and you got Theo Fleury on the back. So it's going to be kind of fun. You know, it's a beat-up issue, but nonetheless, it's pretty sweet to have it back in the collection. I don't really count those towards my count, but I definitely like having stuff like that. The second one was one I knew I had, and I was positive. And I had actually gone back, and you can kind of see it right there. I had gone back and bought a second issue because I thought I had lost the first issue. But it turns out I haven't. So this is the July 99 issue. So that's Modano on the front, and then Dominik Hasek on the back. And this is the double side issue for basically the 99 Stanley Cup, where Dallas won its Stanley Cup against Buffalo. But you had both ends covered. So like I said, I've gone through this issue already a little bit, and this one had the graded card price guide when it was very novel, which is very cool to have it back in the collection. I don't mind having two copies. That's perfectly all right. And I do appreciate that in both cases, and something maybe I hadn't looked at too much in a while, they had the black uniform on both of these. And to be honest, I really miss that uniform, and I'd definitely buy a replica if I could get my hands on it, because I like that one. The other ones were fine, but I thought that was a fun uniform they had at that time. Okay, so 2 more Mike Modano related items. Again, one that I completely forgot I had, and the other one that I thought I'd lost. And in a recent mail day, I had an NHL Pro Player stamps that I got from an eBay lot. And it turns out I actually already had it, which didn't surprise me, but at the same time, I honestly thought I had lost it. So these are the NHL Pro Player stamps. So this is the original packaging they came in, and they would be in kind of a group like this, 6 on one side and 6 on the other. And you can see on the back, you've got number 124 on Pro Stamps. So there's the Modano right there. So in the eBay lot I have, and let me just see if I can focus that. There you go. So in the eBay lot I have, I actually got the single one, and they had cut it out already, but this is one complete inside the little packaging. So that's cool. That's back in my collection, so that's nice. And then the other item I've got here is one I thought, to be honest, I forgot I had. And this is a little panel of 97, 98 Panini hockey stamps, or hockey stickers. And obviously you can see we got the Modano right there. So 97, 98. And that's number 139. Yes, 139. So there you go, a complete panel, including the Modano. So that's one more off the checklist. So I'm almost exactly at 1,300 unique Modano items, counting that one. So we're definitely making progress, and like I said, there's more stuff forthcoming, so I'm looking forward to that. So one more thing here, I'll show you this one first, and then I'll show you a little envelope that I had with some stuff that I, again, was pretty sure I had, but completely forgot where it was. It had been literally sitting inside of a pile of things, probably for years at this point. So first of all is this one. So this is an 8x10 from the Team of the Century. So Team Canada, 1972 edition. An autographed 8x10. I got this at an event they did at the Hershey Center in Mississauga, where they had a couple of different members of the Team Canada 72 team doing an autograph signing, and they had like a little mini pavilion thing, and I went to go visit it. Now, I had a specific reason for it. I did get these players to autograph this 8x10, which I bought at the thing. Now, I don't memorize this team. I'm familiar with Team Canada 72, but it was before my time. But nonetheless, they were there, and the 8x10 was not too expensive, so I thought, well, I'll get the autographs. So you got Rod Sealing there. And I had to look up the names based on the numbers. So Dale Talon I knew. That one I was the least familiar with. Jocelyn Gouvernement. I probably butchered that, so I apologize. Guy Lapointe. There. And Serge Savard. Now, this is all well and good. So I've got that back in the collection, which is cool. But the reason that I went and got the signing done is because I got all these players to sign this 8x10, but the main reason I went to go there is that one of the other members of Team Canada 72 was also there, and that is Phil Esposito, who's right up here. So I got him to sign that autograph 8x10 at the same thing. So all the other players signed this one, and I got Phil Esposito to sign this one up here that is framed. Hopefully you can see that in the corner that I'm pointing at. So it's just kind of cool to have the rest of it back. I may frame that at some point. I think I've got some 8x10s that maybe or maybe not are going to get framed, but I can definitely put it inside of... Probably I'll put it inside of one of these type of holders and throw it into a binder so that I can flip through it and have different 8x10s. So that's another thing that I found rummaging through. Now this last one is kind of interesting. This envelope here, I got this big bubble envelope, and it's got quite a number of things in it. Well, actually 3 or 4 things. So let me show them to you. They're a little bit random, but kind of neat at the same time. And I hadn't seen these in a while, so I forgot I had them. Okay, let me see if I can actually extricate this. Okay, first item. Like I said, very random, but I'll explain a little bit. Although it's been a while since I looked at it. So this is a Pro Gun from the 1983 Grey Cup. Kind of a neat little program. And this is actually my birth year. And this is part of kind of a concerted effort I did to tease one of my buddies who's a Hamilton Ticats fan. And I really don't... Here's the thing. I enjoy the CFL for what it is. I've been to plenty of games. I've watched plenty of games. I was a season ticket holder to the Argonauts for 2 years. I did that to get tickets to the 100th Grey Cup, which happened years ago now. But I don't really care one way or the other. But I'll watch it when it's on TV. But the thing is, the 83 Grey Cup, in addition to being my birth year, is part of a long-standing joke that I have with my buddy, being a Ticats fan, is that the Ticats, for some reason, in a league that's that small, struggles to actually win championships, whereas the Argonauts, they have a fan base, and it is a loyal fan base, but it's a very small fan base because for the most part, people in Toronto do not care about the Toronto Argonauts, and yet this team manages to win Grey Cups almost in spite of themselves. This was the first Grey Cup they had won in a while, but in my lifetime, they've won a Grey Cup in '83, which is this one. 91, they won in 2 in 96 and 97, I want to say, and then they won another one in the 2000s, like 2003 or something, and then another one again in like the 2010s, and it's just random. There would be these championships interspersed, and the whole time it would be like, Toronto doesn't actually care. But there are fans that'll come and they'll have a little parade, but at the same time, they won all those championships, and I think the last time Hamilton won was 1999, and then before that, you got to go quite a ways back. So it's just kind of funny that this team manages to win championships about every decade or so, just in spite of itself. So that's part of the reason why I found that funny. But I picked up that years ago, and I honestly thought I had lost it. So 2 more items here that I've got inside of this envelope. This one is a little bit more practical. So this is the official visitor's guide to Super Bowl 45. So I mentioned already that I'm a Packers fan. You know, you got this right here. And I'll show you something in a second that kind of relates, but this one was a visitor's guide. This came as part of an eBay lot with another item, which I'm going to show you right now. And this one, honestly, I knew I had, but I was legitimately trying to find it, and I was struggling. So this is a ticket, a ticket stub, a used ticket stub from Super Bowl 45. So this is from the, let me see, Section 121, Row 19, Seat 1, Hall of Fame level. This was at Texas Stadium, or Cowboy Stadium, February 6, 2011. And you can see there, the ticket was $900. Picked that up on eBay, and I'm pretty sure it came with the visitor's guide as well as part of the lot. But yeah, no, this was kind of cool. I wanted to pick this up as a souvenir at the time. I would have bought this back around 2011, maybe 2012, after they won the championship. And this one here is kind of cool because if you look behind me in the background here, I've got this little plaque that has replicas of the 4 Super Bowl championships the Packers have, replica tickets. And obviously, you got the last one right here, which is a match to the one on the side. It's probably a little small from your vantage point, but the 4th one is the same type of ticket that you got here. That was Hall of Fame level. Yeah, they're both Hall of Fame level. So this is a $900 ticket, and this one is a $1,200 for the replica. Obviously, it's not a complete ticket. The bottom was torn off, but outside of that, I think PSA grades this stuff. So I may, at some point, try to submit this in just to have it. And I'm just glad to have it back in the collection to go along with the visitor guide. So that was kind of a cool pickup as well. Even though it wasn't a pickup, it was just me finding something I already had. So that's it for me today. Just kind of a random rummage and a little bit of story time talking about a couple of these items because, like I said, I hadn't seen them in a while. So I thought it was kind of cool to find them. Before you go, though, I'm going to leave you with one little teaser. I had mentioned already that I was going to record this video. Unfortunately, the last couple of weeks have just been busy, even though I've managed to get a couple of videos in there. And obviously, the pickup videos are always kind of easy to shoot. I am going to record this video in this week. I've set some time aside, and I'm going to make it happen. So I'll give you a little bit of hint. There's your hint. So I do have a complete set of that, and I wanted to show that in the same vein as my 56 top set, because I love the 55 Bowmans as well, and having a complete set means I can kind of show you the different cards in it. Again, it's going to be in the same vein, lower condition cards, but it is complete, and obviously I think over time I'm going to upgrade some parts of it, but it's going to be kind of fun. I think it's going to be kind of cool to be able to showcase that set as well, and hopefully when Postal Service kind of returns more to normal, it'll be a little easier for me to pick up some, because I'm really close to the 54 Bowman set, making that one happen, and I would love to be able to finish that one off and showcase it to you as well. And that's kind of the plan. We're gonna do what we can, but in the meantime, most of my eBay orders are gonna have to be domestic because it already takes a long time. Right now, the mail service is real bad. Even some stuff locally takes a couple of weeks, and then stuff from the other side of the country domestically takes upwards of a month. Like I know some of the stuff I'm waiting for has been like 2 or 3 weeks out. And I've dealt with the seller before. I know they sent it, but it's just a matter, without tracking, we don't know exactly where it is. It's somewhere between there and here. And it'll get here when it gets here. So that's it for me today. Thanks as always for watching. If you got any questions or comments, I'd be happy to reply to them. Check out the videos that I included in my shoutout, because like I said, one person's starting their journey and the other person already got pretty far along. And I would say encourage both of them because I think both of the videos actually were really kind of fun to watch. Thanks as always for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.